Welcome back to another episode of Creating Magic. I'm Dani.
And I'm Paula.
And today we have I don't know if you define yourself as a Disney creator,
Yeah, a bit of a Disney creator, lifestyle, travel, but yeah, a lot of Disney stuff for sure.
a lot of Disney, and that usually brings in travel too. So
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
then your name is Matt. I'm going to let you introduce yourself a little about the type of content you make, who you are, and kind of how long you've been doing this.
Yeah, so my name is Matt Richardson. I've been a creator for about a little over 2 years consistently. I've been online and putting stuff online for since like the 90s. And but I got consistent about creating video content a lot around Disney parks, but then also lifestyle and travel as well. And I'm, a lot of short form vertical video content like you find in Instagram Reels, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts, that sort of thing.
And then your handle is just your name, correct?
Yeah, so on Instagram, it's Matt Richardson, my name. And then on TikTok, I wasn't able to get my name. So I'm Matt Hungry Again, which was like an old Xbox name I had.
I love that.
We understand. And so Paula did not attend, but you and I attended D23 this year for both of our first times.
Yeah, it was overwhelming, right?
So overwhelming. And no matter what people said, you didn't know how to prepare for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just saying to someone, it was like being at a buffet that was like the largest buffet you've ever seen and has every one of your favorite foods, and you see it and you just are like, where do I even begin? Right? It was there's so much good stuff. It was incredible.
Did you also do D23 day at Disney?
Yes, a bit. I was there for a little bit. That was the day I arrived, so I dropped my stuff off and then ran into Disneyland and saw they had a little cavalcade of legends and some photo ops. So that was cute.
It was hot.
Yeah, yeah.
I was very misinformed on the weather of California.
Yeah, yeah. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was neat to be there. And so for me, I'm kind of a more of an up and coming Disney creator, and so I got to meet a lot of creators that I had been following for a while because Disney invited a lot of creators to D23. Not me, but like I got to meet a bunch of them, and they were all so nice. So it was great to meet a bunch of people I've been following for a long time.
I told them my goal is I have 2 years to be able to get to the level where I can be invited, because one of our friends, Magic by Michaela, was there, and so that was the first time we got to meet in person. And we followed each other for years. So
right. Yeah, that was kind of one of the things that generally surprised me about D23 is I thought about like all the content and the programming and the experiences and the panels. I didn't think about the socializing. I didn't think about the networking and the bumping into people, or that was a big part of it actually.
It really was.
It was fun.
Especially because there's so many lines, you're naturally meeting the people around you while you're waiting in lines.
Yeah, you have this facility that is just filled with top Disney fans and all of its franchises, all of its different franchises, and these are passionate people who want to talk to each other, and so it was so much fun. We had such a great time. It was amazing.
Yes, some of the best conversations I had was because all the cafeteria food areas just had big tables. So you would just kind of find a table that had space, and we would just start talking to the people that were at the table with us or who would join us.
Yeah, that's great. That's so nice. It's such a welcoming community. It's very enthusiastic so I'm not surprised. I shouldn't have been surprised that there was going to be so much socializing because everyone's so welcoming and there's so much to it. There's so much breadth that I can't imagine that there's one person there who's got it all covered from, be it Star Wars to Marvel to Disney parks to, the cruises, whatever. There's just so much to get excited about that there's things for people to share with other, what's your passion? What are you interested in? And you can share and learn from each other. It's remarkable. It really is.
It was amazing. And there really is something for everyone.
Yeah.
Now, have you attended conventions previously?
Just for work, and these are like commercial industrial conventions.
Okay,
I have never been to a fan con ever. So this was like also in that sense a very
new
experience for me. Yeah.
So
Well,
I've
that's
done a lot
very
of
different to go
Yeah.
from a work con to
Yeah.
like something fun and cheery.
I was just saying to someone like, like a panel. When I think of a panel for like a work conference, I'm like, oh, everyone's going to be droning on about their own little thing that they want to promote, and everyone's going to ask questions that they want to promote. The panels were the best part of or one of the best parts of D23 because it was just like it's the best possible version of a panel you could program,
Yes, Paula and I are big con goers. This was by far the biggest con I've ever been to, and I was with people who were not panel people.
Mhm.
I am a panel person. I love knowing how things create. I
Yeah.
love knowing like the stories behind things. So I think I did 4 panels the whole weekend.
Oh, which ones did you get?
So I only got Goofy, the Goofy movie with the
Mhm.
creators.
Yeah.
I did Stand by Line for Phineas and Ferb. My friend got tickets for the Stay Tuned You're Watching Disney Channel. And then Michaela ended up with an extra ticket to Percy Jackson, and she invited me to that one.
No, that's great. We did have opposite. We had opposite D23 experiences. I did Muppets at 70 featuring Miss Piggy, New York World's Fair, and its sort of Disney's influence on it. The panel that was all about creating Tiana's world, and then the Richard M. Sherman panel, which was also fantastic. So great stuff.
Yeah, very different. The other one I also did, which is like the one random outlier, but it's stuff I love. I went to the National Geographic Ocean Explorers one.
Really?
It was I am a science nerd. I binged the whole show this week because it just came out.
Mhm.
But I loved it.
That's great. That's great. So the thing about the panels, like this is Disney, of course. They're producing these panels. They're in fact, like I would say, scripting the panels a bit, like you could tell. But they were so thoughtfully conceived and so thoughtfully put together and organized and produced and very, very well produced. And they all of them had some element to me, from my experience, all of them had some element that really took me by surprise, that was a little bit fun or a little bit of a exciting surprise to like blow your expectations out of the water. I think like for the Muppets panel with Miss Piggy, they set it up as though Miss Piggy was so mad she wasn't getting a Legends Award that she refused to show up to this panel, but she sent in a video to say how mad she was that she wasn't getting the Legends Award. And I was like, it's a very clever way to start a panel rather than being just like, hello and welcome to this panel about the Muppets. That's it was just very cute.
And it sounds very Miss Piggy.
Yes, it was.
It's very.
It was so funny. Like, I mean, what a great way to start a program like that, with just a good laugh and someone who's in character and being themselves. And we love Miss Piggy for that. And so it was such a great way to kick off a panel. And I mean, and then I did Tiana's World, creating Tiana's World, all about not just the movie, but everything else around the movie. And Nika Noni Rose, the voice of Tiana, was there. And then at the end, they were like, we think the panel's wrapping up. We think the panel's wrapping out. Anika Noni Rose is going to sing for us. She's going to sing from the movie. I was 4 rows back in the center, and she was singing right there. I was just like, and I love Anika Noni Rose, and I love. Yeah, it was so.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Muppets had been on my list. It's just like there's so much to do.
Yeah.
And I'm such a panel person, but I didn't want to only do panels.
Right.
Because like a lot of the standby lines, you could get into the panel if you waited, but the waiting also took time. And the experiences on the floor, the training droids. I just want a training droid.
I was surprised she didn't come back with one, because she loves marine animals and droids. I was like, for sure, she's coming back with a droid. I kept seeing them in people's stories, and I was like, oh my God, Dani's coming back with one of these for sure.
Is that the ones, that what they're called? Which ones are those? Because I saw a few droids there.
They're the little ones that World doesn't have. Disneyland had them, and they do the hopping.
In the Imagineering Pavilion.
Yeah, in the Imagineering section.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that World gets them at some point.
Yeah, those are cute. I was lucky enough to be in the pavilion when they were demoing them as well, and they are remarkable little droids. Really, really cool. That whole pavilion also, like I
could have
kept
spent
coming
the whole
back to
day
it.
in the Imagineering Pavilion.
Yes. Yeah, I kept coming back to it. Were you able to go on Sunday after the parks panel?
I was.
Yes.
I got stupid lucky because they closed off the line.
Yep.
And there was like a conversation across the way with Imagineers. I was like, oh, I'll just hang here and just kind of see. The lady that was opening the line beelined right to the little group I was in. And she said, you guys are going to follow me. I'm going to take you into that line.
Yeah.
And so we got in like 15 minutes. I was like, just lucky spot.
Yeah, I was someone gave me the heads up that they were just about to open the line and they had security there telling people don't mill about, keep moving. And someone was like, hey, did that, come over here,
Yep.
come over here, and motioned to me to come over there. And I stood next to them with someone who I had just met at this conference, just who walked up and said hello. And they're like, I know what's about to happen. And then we rushed right in and got in. And so it was cool to see all the models of all the announcement that they had made the day before. This was the section that was closed off.
So
Friday
Paula,
and Saturday.
since you don't know, on Saturday night at the Honda Center, they announced all the updates to the parks. But the whole weekend in this Imagineering booth, this whole section was closed off until after the announcements because they showed they had the models of Casita and of the rides
nice.
So you could see everything, but it's been roped off because they hadn't made the announcements yet.
So cool.
It was like some walls just disappeared overnight in the Imagineering pavilion. And
Disney magic.
Yes,
Disney
exactly. And it was so cool being in the pavilion because I just kept seeing Imagineers that I had seen, either in the parks panels or in the Imagineering story, or there's a friend of a friend who it was an Imagineer who I finally got to meet in person for the first time. And he's the guy who did the Hatbox Ghost effects. And so I got to talk to him about how cool that was.
Oh.
The Imagineers were all just milling about there. Mm-hmm. And Scott Trowbridge, who was the guy behind Galaxy's Edge, and he did Harry Potter before that, I think, in Universal. Could be wrong. But anyway, just there, just talking to people. And it was just like, I cannot believe they don't have to do this. They don't have to do this. And they set up this beautiful pavilion and just talk to us. It was so cool.
And they were doing there was a group of them doing one of the sculptures on showing how they do the sculptures in the parks. Yeah. And they were just talking to you as they were sculpting things, and you saw it progress through the weekend.
Yeah. You could imagine, a world where Imagineers are very aloof and disconnected because there's just so many rabid fans who want to know everything they're doing. Mm-hmm. And the reality is they're fans too. And they appreciate all these Disney fans. And it was just so great to see them out there talking to us. I also like seeing this sort of, the progression they had the live performance costuming team. So the team that dresses Minnie for the parades or whatever. And so they actually had Minnie's new Halloween costume, and a sort of a progression where they had the dress forms, and sort of it started off with a muslin or whatever. And
and I'm big into costuming.
Oh, okay.
I sew and everything. So what was also cool about that is it wasn't just that process. It was the fabric samples.
Yeah.
Our friend Hannah was looking at it, and one of the costumers complimented on her I think it was her Cinderella or her Alice cosplay. She has been on she's just the one thing she brings up. She's like, the Disney costumer complimented me.
That the ultimate compliment, really.
It really is.
For a cosplayer, that's huge.
Yeah.
And and what was great was that they broke down their process. Just like you'd see the sculptors doing their thing. It was a breakdown of how we got to Minnie's new Halloween costume, and they did such a great job breaking it down and everything. One interesting thing that one of the Imagineers brought out is, I didn't know this, but the Imagineers are also the ones who design all the name tags for all the cast members. And he brought out the book of name tags, and they have every single name tag that they've designed, because it's not just they've got a special one for the 50th anniversary of Disney World. You've got the special 100th anniversary of Disney. You've got all these varieties. Olani has them, and it was this big binder, and it had those plastic, collectible carrying things, and just flipping page after page of all the name tags they designed.
I can't imagine how many designs there are for just name tags.
I know. And then they have to account for all kinds of things like language differences, the way they need to appear and everything. It's just like these Imagineers are just have an incredible responsibility to the parks, to what Disney does, to the legacy of these stories that they bring to life. It is so cool. I don't have the skills or the smarts to be an Imagineer, but boy, would I love to be an Imagineer.
I left D23 with so much creative drive and like going like, why didn't I go into Imagineering?
Right. Right.
Like, I know it crossed my brain at one point. I'm like, why didn't I do this?
Right.
Because it was so much fun. And then we hung out at the Star Wars effects booth a lot.
I didn't get a chance to see that. Like, I walked through it and it was amazing. Tell me about what that experience was about.
So we saw so it was the ILM booth, and we saw Huyang, the droid. So they had that droid out, and it was like multiple people that have to operate this droid for the movies. And they talked about like, and it's very like, and it would be like moving its head and like responding. And so they like broke down everything they do with that. But then they were also showing that like it can't walk. So they had to make a version of it. And the droid they have there is the only actual one they use for the movie or in the shows. Like it's the only one they have. And so they have a system where you can attach an actor to it to do the walking part with like green screen and everything. And they just broke everything down, and they had like the models and the 3Ds, and like one guy was controlling like the facial movements, and others are like the teamwork it takes to operate a droid. Like you have to know each other because that's acting. I know it's not like a human.
Oh yeah, it's like a coordinated like choreographed dance, but you're moving a droid. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it was a different thing every time. They had like 3 or 4 different panels. They weren't really panels, but they were panels that focus on different things. So whenever I only managed to get into one of them.
Was it right there in that big volume in the...
Yeah, that big theater.
Yeah. That looked cool. I mean, I only walked by the ILM booth, but it was impressive to see the volume right there. I mean, the photorealism to what they're doing there is incredible.
Yes, and then they started doing, you could go, and the line filled up like immediately, is that they were actually filming you with the actual cameras, and you were like on what looked like the set with a droid and the technology, like looking at it, I'm like, oh, how?
That is so cool. I would have loved to have done that, but yeah, it's a big buffet.
I'm also going to Star Wars Celebration. So I'm mentally like, if they have that, I need to be wearing like the right Star Wars outfit to be able to do this.
Right. Oh, it's so much fun. There's so much good stuff. It was just like, I was passing things. I was like, oh, I want to check that out, but I can't. I got other things I got to do,
Timing was rough.
Yeah. They did the best they can. I mean, yeah, there is a lot of lines and waiting. If you really wanted something, you were just going to have to wait for it. And it was always worth the wait. I mean, generally it was always worth the wait. I think like for the Avatar walkthrough experience, I think the line looked really bad, but it was only like 15 minutes before
that one I didn't get into.
Yeah, it was good. It was like, if you've done Na'vi River Journey at Animal Kingdom, it's like walking through that basically in the way they've sort of lit it in the effects. It's not as nice as Na'vi River Journey, and you're walking, but and then they had some just different sort of elements from all the Avatar films. It was a nice little thing, nothing crazy.
Yeah, I don't regret any of the choices I made, but like there were certain things like for me, I had to do the Disney Channel wand.
Oh yeah.
We waited like an hour for that one, but I'm like, this is my childhood, man.
Yeah. There's some photo ops that I was like, oh, that would be nice to do, but yeah, I can't. The Bear. I've been watching The Bear, the show, and I'm really into it. I'm in the middle of season 2 right now, and they had that whole walkthrough experience for The Bear, and I was hearing good things about it. This is the other thing that's happening when you're at D23. You're hearing from other people what's cool, what's not cool, what's happening, what you got to, and so you have to sort of like fix your strategy as you go. You got to be flexible. I was hearing good things about what was happening over at the bear booth, and I was like, and I love the bear. I want to go do that. But then it just, again, it was like the line, I could never get into that
Yeah.
line, you know.
Did you go to the Honda Center?
Yes, all 3 nights.
So on Sunday, I went to the Honda Center. I'm sorry if people judge me for this. I left early.
I don't blame you.
It wasn't for me. And I'm like, you know what? I can go hang out on the con floor that's practically empty for an hour, or I can sit here and just, award shows are really just not my thing.
Right.
And so I went back. The bear had no line. That's the only reason I got into it.
Right.
But there were a few things I got to do. And one of the things I did, because all my friends were like, oh, you missed all this. And I'm like, for me, I am a huge fan of Ashley Eckstein.
Mhm.
I love the Herb Universe brand. I love a female creator that started during a time where being a nerd as a girl was not always looked to.
Right.
It was a little frowned upon. And they did a wrap up on the spotlight stage that there was like 20 people there. We were like sitting on the floor in the front because there were so few people, and they were playing Pictionary. And it was just like this fun little like banter thing that I'm glad I left to be able to capture that.
You made the right move. I think like I went to the Honda Center all 3 nights. The first night, the entertainment showcase, all about upcoming movies and TV shows. It was long, and you're sitting in a hockey arena seat basically, and it is a little uncomfortable. And
we were in section 400. It was very uncomfortable.
Yeah, and so like the first night it was rough because it was long, but they put on quite a nice show. It just goes on too long, and it's just like the nonstop bringing people out. It's cool to see the celebrities. Second night, parks panel. I'm very much invested because I love parks news and I want to hear it all. And I can see the teleprompter. I can see the announcements before they're happening, which I think is pretty darn cool.
I was thinking at the Percy panel because I could see the teleprompter. I was like, oh, someone's coming out.
Yep, exactly. And then for that Sunday night panel, the Legacy. Now, what did I say? Legacy?
Yeah, it's the Legends
Award. Legends. The Legends Award. That was the snappiest show they had at the Honda Center. You know, that was the one that went the fastest, that moved along the fastest.
Mm-hmm.
I did enjoy that, but I also at that point was trained to like take a stretch break and like walk around, go up and walk around a little bit at one point, then come back and enjoy it, because there were a few legends I was excited about seeing, and so like that was fun to see that. But yeah, the Honda Center stuff was tough. I think generally if someone's looking for D23 advice, is really weigh whether or not you want to be at the Honda Center,
or which nights so we couldn't get 3-day passes, so we had individual passes for each day. So like looking at the next one in 2026, I'm like, I would pick and choose which nights I really wanted to do the Honda Center. Yeah. Because it was really nice to walk the floor when nobody was around.
Right.
Like there were still people there, but like the area with all the vehicles, so they had this section with all like the vehicles from movies, from history, it was empty. So I was just taking content over there for the longest time just because there was no one around.
Right. That's the thing. Like, the thing I need to look at is really whether, as much as I want to be in the room for those big things at the Honda Center, I need to really consider whether it makes sense, because there's just so much on the show floor. The other weird thing is that Legends was cool. It was neat. It really focused on, basically producing this award show that was going to end up on Disney Plus and honoring these people and everything. It was a weird way to end D23, because it wasn't about being a part of D23. It was about honoring these legends. Yeah. And I'm sure there's all kinds of factors that go into the way they schedule these things, but I kind of was hungry for somewhere where there was like, and that's D23 2024, and
or like ending with like a big announcement of hey, here's like a big thing.
So possibly they could do the parks panel later, but then they don't have that opportunity in the Imagineering Pavilion to show off stuff. I get it. Events are really hard to do, but I just wanted something to cap off the event. I kind of made
a closing ceremonies.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of people were leaving and not doing the legend stuff, and that kind of also made it feel like a little like, oh well, is everyone leaving already? I'm not leaving yet. It's like when everyone's leaving a party and you're like, I'm not ready to finish partying.
Yeah, no, I definitely like for the future. And this is how I operate when I travel anyway. Like after we had done parks through the whole week. Don't do theme parks before the convention. Wait until after, because that was rough. We did 3 days of theme parks, then a 3-day convention.
Yeah.
Too much.
So what parks did you do?
We did Universal initially.
Mhm.
We started up in Hollywood. So we did the Warner Brothers studio tour.
Oh, loved it.
Loved it. Then we did Universal, and then we came down and did 2 days at Disneyland because I have never been to Disneyland. It was our first
No
time for a lot of
kidding.
us. Yeah.
Can you tell me about your impressions of Disneyland, like as a first timer?
I really enjoyed it. I know a lot of people are like, World's better, and I've been to World a lot. I have an annual pass. I live here. I left going, oh, my mom would love this. I should bring her out here. I would love DCA.
Mm,
I love California Adventure. I love the moving Ferris wheel, no matter what anyone says.
it's thrilling, right?
It was wild. I loved
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, they're special parks. I like there's a special quality to both Disneyland parks. There's as a whole resort, it doesn't have the abundance and
No,
the grandness that Disney
I
World
think the
has.
parade's better.
Oh, Magic Happens.
Oh my God, I loved it.
Magic Happens is the parade that made me like parades. Like to me, a parade was always something that was kind of in the way, and I'm going to get crucified for this. But like, like I just was not super into parades. But then when Magic Happens came out, I was like, this is a parade. I love this.
It was so good. Probably my favorite parade of all of them. And
So
then
that's like your bar. You're like, is it like Magic Happens level?
The close second is probably the Mickey's Not So Scary parade.
Oh yeah, Boo to You parade. Yeah.
Yeah. And now this year, Max is in the parade this year.
Yeah.
And I love a Goofy movie. So I'm so excited.
So they did they started the Magic Happens parade right before the pandemic. Disney and I was at the time I was living in California, so I was going down to Disneyland a lot, and so I saw Magic Happens really early on. I was so into it. I kept coming to see it and everything. And then when the shutdown happened, one of the things that got me through it was that the Disney Parks YouTube channel uploaded a beautiful cut of beautiful filming of Magic Happens. It's not available anymore. They took it down, I guess, because they want people going to the parks to see it. It basically got me through the shutdown. I would be on the treadmill just trying to stay in shape because we're all staying inside. We didn't know what we were doing. I was on the treadmill watching Magic Happens on YouTube over and over again because it was such a joyful thing for me. And it brought me so many like happy memories. So,
it's so good. It was the first spot time that we met Michaela in person. And so we were watching it and she was singing along. She goes, when I get really stressed, I just listen to this online.
Yes, it's exactly how I
so
feel.
Good.
It is. The music is great. The music is amazing. I know, and also, nobody knows this, but I'm a huge Coco fan. I love Coco. Coco gets like such great treatment in this parade.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Hey Hey surprised me. I loved the little robot Hey Hey.
Yeah. You could see the cast member walking along. He just kind of has like a regular button-down shirt and a messenger bag, and he's just got his hands in his pockets making the thing go. It's so funny. It's cute.
He's just like this little robot with Hey Hey on top.
It's really cute.
We loved so we don't get the overlay of Nightmare on our Haunted Mansion.
Right.
So we were able to do that twice.
And what did you think?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love Haunted Mansion, but seeing the little hill that Jack goes on with all the pumpkins, it's beautiful. Yeah. Haunted Mansion's also one of those places, one of the few rides where especially the dancing scene where I'm always I know how they do this, but I need to inspect it every single time I'm studying it.
Yeah. I was lucky enough when they had the 50th anniversary at Disney World to do the 50th anniversary tour. One of the things you did was you went behind the scenes in that scene and you could see the way they did the Pepper's ghost effect and you saw it was the coolest thing. They did not let me record. Understandably, they really didn't want me to record back there, but it was neat to see it.
Yeah, we love that. We loved all of DCA. We could have spent our whole time there.
Yeah, DCA is great.
We didn't see the fireworks show or Fantasmic. We went to World of Color.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, it's great. And did you do Incredicoaster? I love Incredicoaster.
Yes.
Oh, Great. Right.
We had a really good time on Incredicoaster. So our friend Kelsey, we get on, we're strapped in, and starts moving, and she looks at me and she goes, I don't like roller coasters. Why am I doing this? And I looked at her, I'm like, you do know this goes upside down. She's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And it took off.
Yep. That's quite a launch. I love that launch right up that hill. Ah, love it.
So good. And I'm just like, you're just not used to, like, we're not used to having an upside down coaster at Disney.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Did you do Radiator Springs Racers?
Yes.
What'd you think of that?
We honestly, all the rides, I'm excited to get a Cars area. I know people are like up in an uproar right now about Tom Sawyer Island. I'm like, nobody actually goes there.
Right. Exactly.
Nobody.
I'm like, any person that complains, I want you to tell me the last time you actually went over to Tom Sawyer Island.
And you know, I understand not being like happy about it, but it's so much land and there's just not enough like emotional investment in that land.
No, it's just like a nature walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's Introvert's Island. It's like when you want to get away,
yes.
or you end up being like just run over by kids because it's like kids letting off energy.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So Radiator Springs Racers, did you like, I absolutely love that ride. Is that?
Oh, we loved it.
Yeah.
The look of it alone.
Beautiful.
We rode that our second morning because we rope dropped it. But the night before we decided to walk through Radiator Springs at night.
Beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I love Cars. I love the Cars movies.
Yeah.
I always had an attachment to them when that came out. It was right before I moved to Oklahoma. And one of my favorite parts of being in Oklahoma was going out on Route 66. And I'd be like, oh, you see this? You see these things are inspired by it. So that was like always an exciting thing for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Cars Land is gorgeous. And especially at night when they kick on the lighting effects, they
have like little Edison bulbs.
Yep. Yeah. And neon and everything. Oh, the
great
Flo's
ice
V8
cream.
Cafe. Yeah. Yeah. Cozy Cone.
Cozy Cone has great ice cream.
Yeah. It's that Cars Land is great. I'm excited. We're getting some version of it. And I'm also excited that it is going to it sounds like it's going to be incorporated into Frontierland, which I do like Frontierland and I want to see expansion to Frontierland. I'm curious what this is going to look like. I trust.
And I feel like it is like the most logical place to extend off of just because of the type of
decor.
Yeah, the decor, like the geography of it.
Yeah. And,
so since it was both your first times, what was your favorite like top moment at D23? We'll let Matt go first.
For me, it was I have a lot of top moments. Right now, my feeling is it was the experiences showcase. It used to be called the Parks Panel because I used to watch the Parks Panel streaming and I used to follow that news really, really closely. To finally be in the room for the Parks Panel was amazing. And also they really they upped their game in terms of entertainment at this panel. I mean, it was a lot of flash and not as much substance, I think, as it usually is, but like, it was still kind of cool to be in the room. And as I said, we were all like, we were trying to watch what's going on the stage to our right, but we were all kind of like looking to the left because the teleprompter was giving away all the secrets. And
you were like,
I think everyone was just because he was like, you knew when an announcement was about to come out because there's a buildup and everyone's just kind of turning to the left to look at that. It was huge for people. It was just like massive jumbotron. That was the teleprompter for the people on stage. And so you could just read what the announcements were, which was fun. But the whole show really it had a lot of sizzle to it and it was really exciting. The best part about that was Josh D'Amaro, when he was up there, the kind of head of the Parks and Experiences guy, he says, everything here is planned, is green light. There's dirt moving, there's stuff happening, which is significant because 2 years ago when they had a Parks Panel, it was, here's a bunch of things we're maybe thinking about doing. And everyone felt a little dissatisfied by that. From my experience, everyone felt a little dissatisfied.
Because there was no definitive answers on if it was actually happening.
It's like, these are the ideas we have, but there's not really anything happening yet.
Which it was nice of them to kind of let us in on what they're thinking about. But I think all of us are just hungry for news and hungry for announcements. And they deliver.
Give us a date.
Yeah, exactly. So that, I think for me, just like being in the room when they announced the Villains expansion to Magic Kingdom, when everyone's going nuts. It was like, I just love being a part of that energy. And so that was really, really a special experience for me.
Awesome. Dani?
Honda wise, I really enjoyed the entertainment announcement, mostly because Paula saw the video. I'm a huge Lin-Manuel fan, and when he walked out, I lost it. And I'm not like a big celebrities person, but he walked out and I was like, oh God, I can't believe this. I'm in the same room.
I know. And they said he had never been to D23 before. How is that possible?
That's crazy.
I don't know. He was
waiting for Dani. He was waiting for Dani to come. That was what it was.
Our friend Katie met him.
Oh, nice.
So I had a just little sidetrack here. I was with friends at Disney World a couple months ago, and one is my cousin, one is her friend. They were at Disney World, and I was around with them. I left them on their own for a little while. While I left them on their own, they ran into Lin-Manuel Miranda, who was standing
Unbelievable.
Right there.
That is the energy Katie has. Like, yeah. I left her and she's like, hey, I just met Lin-Manuel. I'm like,
yeah. And then some people just attract that.
Her partner was there as press. Mm-hmm. And so he was like he's like, these are the things that they want like the press to be at. Mm-hmm. And there's people that I didn't even know like that were there. And he's like, I just met Tawny Newsome, mm-hmm. who is a writer, but out of the Disney World, she is a writer and voice in the Star Trek universe.
Oh.
And I'm just like so jealous right now.
Yeah. There were so many people
like the experiences, the wand experiences, the Star Wars, the technology.
Yeah. Like
seeing the technology up close and the creativity behind everything. And like Paula knows this, the reason this podcast started is because I like to know how things are made, what the process is, why people do the things they do. And D23 was like all of that. They're like, Imagineers are like, let us show you what we do. And then the costuming, like all the cosplays, I just love seeing people being creative in their own element.
Yeah, there were some great cosplays. It was...
And you guys are both going back.
Yeah,
next year.
If I can get tickets again, I will. I lucked out on tickets this year. If I can do it, I'm going to do it any way I can.
Yeah, any way possible.
Yeah. A truly incredible experience. Even a couple days after it was over, I was still kind of like experiencing a little bit of like a blueness, about not being there again. And it's just like all good things must come to an end. And this one did. And I'm still sort of took me a little time to accept that it was over because the experience really, truly exceeded my expectations.
I think it makes it harder because it's every 2 years. So it's not like an annual thing where you're like, oh, I have this to look forward to. It's like, I even felt down. I'm like, I'm going to Star Wars in April, but I'm like, no, I still feel like I want it to keep going.
Well, I didn't realize that it was every 2 years.
Yeah, even years. There is a destination D23 that happens on odd years, but it's pretty small. It didn't happen. I'm
in a group, a Facebook group, because I want all the information before I do a thing. And they did like a comparison of the two. And so there's like not a lot of cosplay. They only have like one stage, few merchants and stuff. So it's like one of those things where I'm like, I'll have to think about that one. Yeah. Or if I'd rather save my funding for the next D23.
Yeah, the big one is the one. That's the one.
The big one is the one. I love it.
It was in. What was interesting to me is that the announcements, the things that happened were mainstream media newsworthy, because I would hear from my parents and my in-laws, like, we heard that Kelly Ripa got a Legends Award. Or like, there's all these sort of like touch points with Disney is just such a massive, massive company that has so much going on, and there's touch points towards everyone. So I was hearing from all kinds of family members like, oh, I'm posting on social that I'm at D23, which they thought they'd never heard of. But then the truth is that it's on the news that
they just don't know the name of it.
Yeah, exactly. So I had a lot of family reaching out like, oh, you were in the room when they did that thing for Harrison Ford. That's so cool.
Or like trailers were dropped and people I love trailers. People would send them to me. I'm like, I was literally in the room and saw it before.
I already saw it.
Yeah. I was in Germany for work last weekend, and I don't know how much Germans really care for Disney stuff, but one of my German business partners was like, did you see about this Lilo and Stitch thing? And I was like, yeah, I was in the room when they announced it. And he was like, that is crazy. It's like, you never, they've got so much. The fans are all over the world.
That is the one that came up in my work group chat, was the Lilo and Stitch live action.
Yeah. Yeah. Which was, I mean, it was cute the way they announced it. It was as though like there was like a transmission takeover of the arena. But yeah, I'm interested in seeing that. I like those live action versions.
So what are your next adventures?
Oh boy. Oh boy. So I have a Disney World trip. I'm leaving tomorrow morning to go back to Disney World. I have a dear friend who's there, and so I'll be with them this weekend, and then next weekend in-laws will be there. I'll be with them. So that, it's just a lot of like Disney parks trips. And then the Disneyland Halloween half marathon is happening the weekend after Labor Day weekend. So I'm going to be running the half marathon at Disneyland. So I'm back at Disneyland again already, which I'm happy to be at. And so yeah, there's always something around the corner.
I was like, there's so much. You said the weekend after Labor Day. I was like, next
Coming
weekend
up.
is Labor Day.
Yeah.
Coming
all
up.
these things back to back. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I find myself on a plane a lot, and it's either for work, going somewhere for work, and then it's like flying directly to a Disney park or a Disney event or Run Disney or whatever.
You're a Disney creator. Spoiler.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm excited to do land again.
Yeah.
And then for the non-Disney people out there, Paula and I will be at Back to Hogwarts the weekend of Labor Day.
Universal. Yeah.
Good.
We'll be there. And then Forbidden Forest in October.
Yes. So we're going to Virginia for a Harry Potter experience. Yeah. I'm also going to Mickey's Not So Scary in September.
Oh, fun. Have you done that before?
Last year was my first year.
Yeah, you said you did that. You saw the booty.
Yeah, last year was my first year. So
do you do any of the other holiday parties?
I haven't yet.
Jollywood Nights is pretty good. I liked that one.
So I've been debating if I do Jollywood Nights or the one at Magic Kingdom.
It's a tough call. It depends on what you're into. Jollywood is definitely more adult oriented in terms of a party atmosphere, but the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party is like a classic party that's been going on a long time. It's also got a good parade.
If they put Kermit in the parade again,
Right.
I'm like, that's it. Yeah. That's the one.
Right. Well, there's a good bit in Jollywood where they have Miss Piggy and Kermit hosting a stage show, which is really good. I really like it. So you'll have a tough call.
You'll have to. We always do the Epcot candlelight procession.
Oh yeah. What narrators have you had?
So I've only been once so far. So I'm a COVID transplant to Florida.
Okay.
So we went when Neil Patrick Harris did.
Oh, that's a great one. You were saying it like, it was only Neil Patrick. Are you kidding?
Well, I was supposed to go last year, and then I let the person I was attending with choose the person, and then they canceled on me, and it was just like, it was a work night, so I was just like, it's not worth my time. So this year I told my mom and her friend who had canceled on me, I'm like, I'm choosing, you can come with me or not, because
right. That's the way to do it.
Cancel, I'm still going.
Right. Did Simu, I think Simu Liu did one. Oh, I would have loved to see that. I love him so much.
That was who I had hoped for, but neither of them knew who he was. It was like,
are you kidding?
I know.
That would have been great.
I'm trying to train them all.
Yeah. Well, I'll see. Here's the deal. I'll go to Simu Liu with you.
All right. Perfect. And then is there anything you want to promote or anything? And just throw out your socials again?
Nothing in particular to promote, but all my socials are on mattrichardson.com. So that's TikTok, Threads now, Instagram, YouTube, etc. So if you go to mattrichardson.com, you'll see it all linked there.
Perfect. And then Paula, where can we find you?
You can find me at Unconceivable on Instagram, and then I've been posting mostly on my Bookstagram, which is strictly Kindle. I also have a TikTok, strictly Kindle, and obviously here on the podcast, Creating Magic Podcast.
And then you can find me on Mandrakes and Mischief. We do have possibly another podcast coming out soon in the future, so that we'll give more details later. Our Back to Hogwarts challenge for the month of September will kick off September 1st, so check that out. So until next time,
keep creating.
Now, if you two don't mind, I'm going to bed before either of you come up with another clever idea to get us killed, or worse, expelled.